Hey, welcome everybody to another edition of Freedman Adventures. This time we're at Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, and right alongside of me is a dear old friend, and that is Captain Robyn Yoshihiro. Robyn, it's great to see you. How are you?
I've been good, thank you.
Yeah, are you missing being out on the water? I mean, it's winter time, so you're not out right now. You missing that?
I am patiently waiting for the season to start, so hopefully soon.
It won't be too much longer. And last season was another fabulous season, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. It's probably one of the best years I've seen in fishing, especially bluefin fishing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. Captain, congratulations. How's that feel?
It's definitely an accomplishment for me. I always wanted to do it when I was younger, and
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger, so
Yeah,
I
none
might
of
as
us
well
are.
do it. I had my captain's license for over a year now, so I got to use it a couple times last year, and it was a very big learning experience for me. So I know I definitely need a lot more real time
Yeah.
to actually get a feel for everything.
Is your goal to run a boat someday? To be the captain? The number one?
That's a lot of responsibility.
I know it is, but you're up to it.
It's a stepping stone for right now for
Yeah,
me.
sure.
I eventually, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. So
I think it's great. It's a great accomplishment, and I see you as a captain, number one someday, doing what your father would love to see you doing,
I
right?
hope so, yeah.
So your father, let's talk about Bobby a little bit, because I knew him. He was a great guy. He passed away. How old were you when he passed away?
I was 19 years old.
19. And so how many years ago was that? And I don't want to give up your age.
This year will be 15 years.
Wow. It seems almost like yesterday to me, you know?
I know. It gets easier every year.
Yeah.
And thankfully I have fishing to bring me closer to him. So it's hard. It's hard.
Of course it is. Yeah. But like you say, it gets easier. And that's not to say that, I've lost my parents, and it gets easier because I think you kind of allow them to live inside of you. And
Definitely.
when you make a decision or you do something, you look up and say, Dad, what would I,
Well, there was a lot of those moments last year, and like for his death anniversary, I was on the boat, which was awesome. So I got he laid out a beautiful day full of fishing.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it did.
That was nice of him.
Yeah.
So is that where you got your love of fishing?
Yes, my dad definitely laid those stones down for me, and I've learned everything I know pretty much from him to at least start fishing. So.
How old were you when you started fishing? What are your memories from that time?
Well, he started me off freshwater fishing at Mammoth
Uh-huh.
when we were little, and then he graduated me to like the half day. So when he started running the new Del Mar, which is now the Spitfire,
Right.
I was about 5, 6 years old.
Uh-huh.
And then taking it further, he was working on the Del Mar, the old Del Mar. So.
Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah.
back with Rick Effinger, and yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing him in the morning, and he was always so welcoming, and I just loved your dad because it was so much fun to fish with him.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was always like, Phil, come on down tomorrow. You got to come to Barracuda or Bite, and you can throw the iron up in the bow.
Yep,
And
those are the days.
yeah, for sure. So your memories as a little girl out on fishing boats are probably filled with a lot of great memories with your dad and catching fish. I know I had my kids. Patrick was on my shoulders when he was 2 years old, and I dragged him everywhere. And at some point when the fish really started biting, I put him on the bait tank, and then the deckhand's watching him, so he's not going to fall in and drown. But he's playing with the bait and having a great time. So all those things, I'm sure, catapulted you into what you're doing now, right?
Yes, definitely. I had to start somewhere, and when my dad bought the boat, I was a pinhead for a long time.
He bought what boat?
The Thunderbird.
Right.
Yeah, so
And that ran out of where when he was doing that?
when we first purchased the boat, we were at Marina Del Rey.
Right.
And then after that, we moved to LA Harbor.
And you were
then
fishing the islands or what?
We were doing Catalina, SBI,
Yeah.
Clemente, so it was great fishing during that time. So I got to learn a lot of what I know now on all those trips. So
That's great. And being a woman in this industry, does that have its downfalls and bonus? Are there good points and bad points? I got to think that, any pretty girl that goes on a fishing boat is subject to some guys hitting on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right? You get a little bit of that.
Yeah,
a lot of that.
I believe a lot of like every female in the fishing industry has to deal with that eventually, and
How do you deal with it?
just brush it off.
Right.
I look at it as more of a equality of me being a woman in a men's sport.
Yeah, right.
But
Is that difficult? Are there any difficulties of being a woman in a man's sport?
they look at me and they're like, "Oh, look at this cute little girl with her hair done, her makeup, and her nails done," and I'm like, "Oh, they're super surprised when I'm on the boat." So.
And you're a captain.
Yes.
And you know how to use a rod and reel too. I see all the great. What'd you catch last year? What was your best catch last year?
It was our last trip of the season. It was the tuna hug two day. I believe it was 2 day. But best night bite I've ever had.
Really?
I've seen some good ones, but that one was pretty good.
What boat were you on?
I was on the Legend.
Uh-huh.
I was galley cook that day actually.
Oh, really? So you got to fish a little bit,
Yeah.
or not? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I work galley, I get to run around on deck, help the boys out when I can.
Right.
I prefer to be on deck, but I'll do whatever I have to do with what's needed on the boat and help the crew out and everything. But whenever I have time, I'll cast a line out or try to fish.
And when the fish are biting, nobody's standing there ordering a hamburger, are they?
No.
They're out fishing.
I'll tell them, it's bite. Get out there now. Like you got to get out there. Like you might not get another bite later. So it was fun. Yeah.
And who's running the boat on that Legend trip?
So it is now Stephen Todd through the Todd family.
Right.
His father Chuck, he runs the Excalibur. So.
And so that night bite, describe it to us. I mean, how big were the fish? How many fish were going at any given moment? What were they biting on? What was that night like?
It was super early in the evening. It was about 9-10 o'clock, and we were just heading in for the trip. We were gonna call it. And we ran over one great spot of fish. A couple people dropped down, and instantly everybody just got bit. And I was like, "Oh, I have a rod rigged up." And then I casted out my rod, got bit, handed that one off, and then grabbed another rod, dropped it down, got bit, and I was like, "You know what? I haven't killed a bluefin in a while." So, and I haven't gotten a bluefin over 50 on the flatball yet. At that trip.
And these were bigger fish, mostly?
They were anywhere from 30 to 100 plus pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah. We had one over 200 that trip, which was awesome. So, or we had a couple over 200 actually that trip. So, and then I went 4 for 6 that night.
Oh wow, really? And what was your biggest fish?
Like 90 pounds.
That's nice. Robyn, a lot of people would die for a fish like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right, and so is it technique on pulling on the fish? I mean, you're probably way stronger than I am because I'm an old man now. But, you know, I mean, some people would look at you and go, wait a minute, how do you catch a 100-pound tuna? What's that all about? It's a lot of technique, right? How to pull on a fish.
Yes and no, definitely. It's learning your rod, your setup.
Right.
Knowing what your rod and reel can do. That night, well, I use my height to an advantage.
Yeah.
I'm low to the ground, vertically challenged. So it's just leverage on the rail.
Yeah.
Putting enough drag, tension, winding when you need to.
Yeah, you make a good point. You know, taller is not necessarily better when you're fighting a big fish,
I've
right?
seen some guys 6 feet plus, and they're just on their hands and knees, like sitting on the deck, sitting on the rod, and I'm like, oh, that does not look. It doesn't look comfortable.
Oh my God,
But
I know.
It really depends. Like I see guys throwing their backs out, pulling on these fish.
Right.
Like, you do not need to pull that hard. Like you're gonna hurt yourself more than you're gonna hurt the fish.
Yeah, right. It's almost like they're fighting themselves, right?
Yeah,
It gets to that
definitely.
point instead of just fighting the fish. And so do you coach people when you tell them like, hey, you know, the fish is taking line, it's running, it's pulling line against the drag. That's not the time to just relax.
There was a lot of that last year where I had to coach some people, take the rod, help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Not so much on the smaller grade stuff.
Yeah.
Because those are all the fun. Those are the fun ones.
They kind of are because you get a bite, you catch the fish. You know, getting the bite is the cool part, right?
Definitely. Yeah, when just watching that line peel off the reel and everything, it's just like, oh, time's up.
I know, right? And then you can hand it to somebody and do that again, and you get just as big a thrill for sure.
Yep.
So what boats are you working on this coming season? Back on the Legend?
I will be back on the Legend. Last year I got to help out the Excalibur and the Top Gun 80 last year, which was a great learning experience to work with Bobby and Scotty on the Top Gun and work with Chuck on the Excalibur. But I'll be around in each of them.
It sounds like the Taft family have really taken you in, huh?
Definitely. Steven has been like a very long time friend for me. I was doing the sponsor trips for Fishing Syndicate for a long time, and I got to know Steven, and I told him about my captain's license, and he's like, well, your captain's license, like, how about you work for us next year? And I'm like, sure. Just give me a heads up. I'll put my 2 weeks in at my restaurant, and I'll be ready to go.
Right.
So, and that was awesome. I got to really experience working on a boat again because it's been so long. And,
how long had it been before last season?
well, I fished in between.
Yeah.
Like, I became a mom, so I had to focus on being a mom and taking care of my daughter. And through that time, I still fished, but once my dad passed away, like, I fell off the face of the earth and stopped fishing for a long time.
Did you fall into a depression or something, or?
That, grief, dealing with my mom wasn't in the best of health at that time, so I had to take a step back from fishing and kind of focus on my family, and then I went through a rough spot, met the wrong people, fell into the wrong crowd, and it definitely got me to where I am now. I have my beautiful daughter to thank for that. So,
right. Yeah. As long as you look at that, I mean, I've done a lot of stupid things, and
I think everybody has.
Had problems with alcoholism, the whole thing. And sometimes you can let those things just drag you down, like you screwed up and you let it drag you down. Or you can do what you did, and what I finally learned to do, but it took me a lot longer, and look at that as a process of learning.
Yes.
And when you screw up, you say, I screwed up, and I'm not going to let this define me. I am not going to make this the end. I'm going to use this to move ahead and do better things. And it sounds like that's exactly what
I learned from my mistakes. I have a lot more to lose now. I have DUI, I had a drug problem. Now lately I'm with that. But like I said, I have my beautiful daughter to live for.
Right.
And my captain's license that I worked so hard for. So
I am so proud of you to overcome that stuff and to be so honest with everybody, because I think it's really important for someone out there who experienced the same kind of thing to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel if you work hard and dedicate yourself, right?
It always is.
Did having a daughter help you to focus and move ahead? Did you look at your daughter and say, hey, I gotta move ahead here. I gotta do.
I always wanted to be that stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Stay at home with the kids, raise the kids, be a homemaker, but that's not me. It's not me. It's not what made me happy. And my daughter is my biggest inspiration, my motivation, because I want the best for her.
Right.
And regardless if I'm working on the boat, like, she understands. I'm very grateful. She understands the life I live and my job. So she gets to benefit from it too. She gets to go fishing whenever she can.
Right.
So.
And is she crazy about fishing?
She loves fishing.
Does she?
She loves fishing. It's getting expensive now because she knows exactly what she wants.
Oh, no. You mean like you come in here to the tackle store, and the funny thing is, I was on the phone, and I look out, and you're buying all kinds of stuff.
I have to start somewhere for the season. I bought so much stuff for the boat last year that it gets used, so I have to replenish the stock. So.
I mean, it just was evident to me that this is not someone who's just working on a boat. This is someone who loves this sport, and you're out there grabbing stuff and thinking about the fish you're going to catch. Would you like to see your daughter work on the boats, or do you have something else in mind for her? Do you want her to do what makes her happy? Yeah, I know. It's a weird question, right?
When I was pregnant, I wanted a boy. I wanted a boy, but God gave me a girl.
Right.
And my parents always told me, I hope to God that your first child is a girl, because you'll know exactly what you put your mom down through. And sure enough, she's 12. She's going to be 12 this year.
Wow.
And she loves fishing.
That happened fast, didn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She loves fishing. I can't deny her that. Both of her parents are fishermen. We both work on boats, so it's in her blood too. As much as I would hate for her to work on a boat.
Why? I mean, it brings you so much joy and happiness.
It does. I want her to be something better. And I think that every parent wants that for their child.
Yeah, although I have changed my mind quite a bit on that lately, and see what you think. But my mom wanted me to be a lawyer.
My mom,
I went to Loyola Law School and lasted, I don't know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I just decided it wasn't for me, and I think sometimes people are happier, and the people I have the most in common with, I don't like hanging out with like really snobby. I like hanging out with ordinary people who work hard, know the value of work, good family people, and all of that. So yeah, it's weird, huh? It's a weird thing. But I have two sons. Patrick went to college. Philip didn't. And at the time, I thought Philip was making a mistake. But he's doing construction. He's making a lot of money. He's happy. I think I was wrong there. It's weird. I don't know what to say.
it's so different now with the generation. Like right now, Kylie, she has such a great head on her shoulders, and she's so driven to what she wants to do with her life. She's already talking about college,
Yeah.
what college she wants to go to, what she wants to major in, what she wants to be when she grows up, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to work a lot harder. But
Yeah, depends on what school she wants.
she's already had. She has 2 universities in mind already.
Really?
Yep.
At 12 years old. I think that's great. And what does she want to be?
She's a veterinarian.
Oh, that's a great.
She loves animals and she loves the sport of fishing. So
I think that would be perfect for her, right?
Yeah.
Coming from your background.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And what university? UC Davis is a big one for.
She wants Davis from Berkeley.
Oh, okay, there you
So
go.
I have a long ways to
You
save up for
gotta
that.
work hard, Mom.
Oh, I know. I know.
Knowing your daughter, she's gonna end up getting a scholarship anyway.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so. It'll help me out a lot. But I know she loves fishing, and she honestly asked me like, "Mommy, can I pinhead on the boat?" And I'm like, no, I don't know. Working day and a half to 3 days are kind of hard, and especially during the summertime. Like she's still young and she still needs to learn, and I can't always keep an eye on her. So like, I would love for her. It would make my heart super proud for her to work on the boat, see her work on the boat and be like me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want her to follow a different path.
Right. What's the longest trip she's been on with you?
She has gone on a day and a half.
Has she caught bluefin?
Yeah, on her first day and a half, she caught her first yellow and her first bluefin.
That's great. How big were those fish?
Oh, they were little. Like unfortunately, but they were the perfect starting size for her.
Of course, yeah.
So at least she can get the idea of what to do and everything. Because before that, she's gone on overnights with me and sea bass fishing on the Endeavor, 3/4 day fishing on the Spitfire. So like it's a lot different from bass fishing and rock fishing. So
How is the Endeavor? Tucker McCombs is such a great guy. In fact, he's a new sponsor with us here at Freedman Adventures, and we're really happy. I love both him and his wife now, Brittany.
yeah, Brittany's awesome.
Yeah, I just met her for the first time when they came in to do the podcast. She's got a funny sense of humor.
She's super funny.
Yeah, she's got a great sense of humor. Yeah, she was screwing with me, I think. So both those two. How do you like fishing up there on the Endeavor?
Well, the last time I was on the Endeavor was before I started working on the boat. So I went out on a trip with Kylie just so she can experience an overnight. But super comfortable. Weather wasn't that great, but super comfortable boat.
And you guys were fishing sea bass? Did they bite?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they did?
Kylie got her first sea bass that trip.
Geez, your kids are lucky. Your daughter is lucky.
Yeah.
And she's 12, so how's school going now? Are they in school now or not in school because we got all this COVID stuff
She's
going
in
on?
school. She's Long Beach Unified, so she has to there's still that mask mandate for her. And
Are you good with that?
yes and no. Yes and no. Like if you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it.
Right.
And then her school is offering like COVID tests every Friday for the school just because there has been a couple cases, and which for kids it's gonna happen. So, but I'm okay with her going to school,
Right.
but I just don't like the whole vaccination thing.
Oh yeah, I'm vaccinated. I'm an old guy, but I'm not in favor of the mandates. I think people need to make their own decisions on their health.
Oh, that was my decision. I chose not to get vaccinated,
Right.
and I recently just got COVID. So, well, not recently, but my birthday.
When was that?
Last month, in January.
Oh,
So
okay. I got it in Christmas, so I have it.
I was down for like 4 days.
Was it bad?
I was sick for like maybe 3-4 days, but other than that,
that's it.
It was it.
Yeah.
Super quick, and I feel like I had it before when COVID first became COVID.
Right.
And it wasn't as bad as the first time. It was just that lingering cough, the congestion.
Yeah. I'm not sure. You know, I was living in China when that started, and there was some talk about some respiratory illness going on down in Wuhan. And a South African teacher said to me, "Hey, my wife and I are going to Wuhan, but I'm hearing this about this." And I go, "Oh, really?" I go, "What's your source on it?" And his source was like, I can't remember whether it was Hong Kong news or Taiwan news. And I go, "Oh, well, those are good sources, so there might be something up." And then it kept going. I got really sick, so I might have had it too, but I'm not sure. I remember I was in the teacher's office, and all the Chinese girls are in there, teachers, and they're going, "You should take tomorrow off. You look terrible." I'm like, "Hey, thanks," you know. And I go, "I don't do that. I work through this stuff, so I'll see you in the morning." Shoot, in the morning, I'm on the phone. Hey, I'm not coming.
Coming in.
And Robyn, I fell asleep and I lived on campus. I fell asleep, and then I open my eyes. I wake up. And around my bed are like 8 fourth grade girls. I'm like, "What are you guys doing here?" Teacher Shelley wanted us to bring you food.
Aww.
And so they brought all this food, and it was really great.
Aww.
But after that, they knew where my apartment was. I was, they're in there trying to watch TV or do whatever.
Gosh.
It was crazy. So back to the fishing thing. The biggest person in your life was your father. Who's next? Some other mentor, whether it's the guys on the Legend now, or who else had a big impact on your love of fishing?
I mean, it's always been my dad. I had my grandpa too.
Did you fish a lot with him?
Surf fishing. He used to get seasick, so I would do his Sunday surf fishing, like his little group and everything on Sundays when growing up.
That was Bobby's father?
So we would do that. Me and my brother would go to Zuma, go surf fishing.
That's so cool.
So I got to spend time with my grandpa, but there's not really anybody that I can replace with my dad.
Right.
But like I look at me having my captain's license and working for the Taft family. It's for me to start somewhere, and working for the Taft family it's a great opportunity. Chuck knows his stuff. So same with Steven. Like Steven has taught me so much over the year.
Right.
And I've learned a lot, definitely. This year was just more of a trial and error run for me. I've had some bad ones, but...
yeah, but I mean, that's going to happen in any business. How difficult was the test? Was it a difficult test?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where I had, like, between the tests, because there's several sections of the captain's course. So, like, in between each test, I got to go to my car, sit there for a little bit, take a breather.
Oh, you did?
Go through my books. It was like, okay, well, you're nav gen next. Go skim through the book and something that I'm not sure about. I'll skim through it really quick. All right, which I shouldn't have done because I knew I knew everything already.
Yeah.
Or I knew enough to get me by on my captain's
right.
test, but it's hard.
It was hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
Were you a good student as a little girl? Were you a good student in grammar school, high school?
I tried to be. I went to graduated high school.
I didn't try to be, so.
Graduated high school, went to college, so.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I did too, but I think I graduated. I think they got me out of high school just to get rid of me, pretty much. I was letting crickets go in the class and doing all this stuff. And my mom was a great cook, so she'd have the priest come over and from the Catholic school I went to and, cook them prime rib, and they'd bump my grade up a little bit. I remember my Spanish teacher was a lady named Godowski. And oh my God, she just wanted to get rid of me. And I literally, at the end of 2 years of Spanish, I couldn't say hola. And then I went to Costa Rica and I lived for a year and I became fluent in Spanish. And I ran into her.
No way.
In a grocery store, and I let her. When I came back, I ran into her, and my Spanish was perfect, man.
She was like, "Oh my God, why
my
didn't you
Spanish
have
was better than hers." It was so cool.
It's like, why didn't you do this much ever before?
I'm telling you. So, would you have any tips that you would give some of the guys and gals out there who want to go fishing for tuna? Do you have a tip to something that you would tell people, like how to fish the iron, how to fish bait, something that comes from Captain Robyn to help people catch a fish this year?
Well, of course, listen to the deckhands, listen to the crew. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, but
That is such, you know what? We say that and it's kind of a throwaway line, but it's so true. Right? You guys are out there every single day. You know what they're biting. You know how to do it. You know what kind of tackle. You get another sense. You get a sixth sense about it.
It's in repetition because the majority of the time we're fishing the same thing. So we get to see it every day. Use the same stuff. There's different scenarios, but it's all the same stuff for us every day. We do it every day, and it's what we love. So it's pretty much nailed into our brains. Like,
I know.
Time to rig up people right now, and just the same thing over and over again.
How much sleep do you get on an average trip? Do you have sleep deprivation where you're not getting that much sleep?
I'm a night owl to begin with. It really depends what I'm doing on the boat. So if I'm working galley, I'll go to sleep fairly early, get my prep done, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then if I'm working deck, I'll.
So when you are a galley cook, what time in the morning do you get up and start the bacon going and everything?
I try to be up by 4:30, 5 o'clock. Or at least earlier, depending on the type of trip or what I have to make in the morning.
Yeah.
But I try to be up fairly early.
What does that mean? I try to be up. Sometimes you don't make it.
I'll admit there has been times where I had to been woken up, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'll go run up and start breakfast really quick. But it's tough, especially after stretches. It gets
yeah, that's
tiring.
what I mean. Like you do 7 in a row or something like that. How many days in a row do you work? What's your average?
My longest stretch last year was, I want to say 3 weeks.
Oh my God, you did 21 days straight.
Pretty dang close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Minus like some trips canceled for weather, but like and then me wanting to go home for my daughter. But I think my longest stretch was, I believe it was like 17, 18 days, even though I know that's nothing compared to what some of the other boats do. Like, I know there's boats that run consistently, and they're on boats for months at a time. But, like, how we have it on the Legend, I was hired as relief to relieve out all the boys so they all get a day off somehow during the month, especially when it starts getting busy, so we're not all burnt out at the same time.
Right. You know, I think that's one thing about this business that some people realize and they don't, but the work ethic is really high in this business, isn't it?
Definitely.
People expect you to work hard.
Oh, that was one thing my dad instilled in me when I started working on the boat. He's like, if you have any customer or have to take off their fish off their hook or miss a gaff, that's on you. And like I had to be on my feet all the time with my dad. And it's all about customer service, especially in having a good time with the people. So it's just it's all customer based.
It is. Some people don't get that though. Some crew members don't get that, and if you do get it, it's a great thing. You get to know people's names. Treat people like human beings.
I met such great people last year working on the boat, and till now they're like some of my good friends who I talk to on the regular, even the off season right now. Like, oh, how's it going, Robyn? Like, we just put our open party schedule up. And he's like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of charters this year, or I'll be on the boat a lot next year. So like I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of our regulars and our charter groups. So
Right. Tommy Rothery, who used to run the Polaris Spring, used to own it. He told me once, and I at first I thought, oh, that didn't, I'm not sure about that, but now I get it. He told me that when he hired somebody, they could have 0 deckhand skills. He could teach them that, but if they were a good people person and they related to people and they were polite and kind and helpful, that's what he was looking for, because you can't teach that. You either have that or you don't have it. And that's where that came in. He would look for, and it was evident in his crew. They were all really good people, really nice people, and that makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
definitely.
So do you, is that in your head every day when you're on deck, trying to learn people's names, trying to make sure everybody's got their knot tied?
We try to, and it's just making that first impression. Even especially on our open parties. Our charters are more laid back and everything, but especially on our open parties, we try to be personable, get to know the person.
Right.
Like, I've met some really cool people last year, I believe it was on a open party last year, when I met our passenger Jesse. we had to helivac him off the boat because he was having a heart attack.
Oh no.
And I got to know him over a very short period of time, and like he had like he gave me his life story.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And
you mean before he had the heart attack, or?
Oh, well, we were on the boat. We were just talking and getting to know each other, and then all I remember was that
How
morning.
old of a guy was he?
Oh, he was.
You had to guess.
Early 50s.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jesse, but he ended up having chest pains on the boat, and I was working galley that trip. And
did he approach you first and say, "I'm having chest pains"?
One of my deckhands came into the galley and was like, "Hey, Robyn, keep an eye on Jesse." And I'm like, I look, and I'm like, he's just sitting there, like his hands on his head, and I'm like, "Hey, Jesse, are you doing okay?" And with the captain's license, especially working in international water, we have to have a SCCW, so I'm certified for the medical first provider. So
great, fantastic.
My deckhand was like, "Steven wants you to keep an eye on Jesse," so I'm like asking all the questions, see how he's doing. And when it came to his medical history and what he's been through,
he's had a history of heart problems.
Yes. Okay. I walked outside of Steven. I think we can make the call.
Yeah.
So we ended up helivacking him off that day, and it was so surprising. Like a couple months later, he came out for 3 days.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it sounds like you got a real nice friendship with this guy, right?
It's such a small world. He fishes with Kylie's dad on the sport team.
Really?
So, and he was like, "Yeah, like I go on the sport team a lot," and I mentioned Kylie's dad, and he was like, "Yeah, I go fishing with him." I'm like, "Yeah, he's my daughter's father," and he's like, "No, like no shit, like really, really." And it's such a small world.
Right, exactly. Well, care to make a comment about the Coast Guard flew a helicopter out? Mm-hmm. Those guys, I've seen that done. They are amazing. What was that like for you guys? Did they get everybody in the galley, or
we
what?
had to strap it. We had to put everything on deck. Everything on deck had to be strapped down.
Because
that we put away.
Yeah.
Because when that helicopter comes, it's gale force away.
It is, right?
And it could blow everything away. Like when the helicopter came up to hover over the boat, like there was jackets, backpacks. Like we had to put all the gas away. We put everybody into the galley, and I'm standing there in the galley door, and I'm like keeping an eye on Jesse, and I'm like watching this guy come down on the helicopter, and I'm just getting blown away from the winds from this thing.
Yeah.
Me and the crew were all soaking wet after
that. Oh my God. And so they drop a guy down on deck, right? And then what happens?
They come in, take his vitals, they came and checked on Jesse, and then they made the call, like, yeah, we're going to take him off the boat. And they ended up dropping the basket down and everything and taking him to the helicopter.
And they have you guys, I'm guessing, they have you, the boat is continuing to move, and they have you running a
straight
course.
Yeah. Maintaining speed for the helicopter to stay over us. So
how cool is that to see that happen?
It wasn't my first. I've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
I just never had to put hands-on like help.
Yeah.
To help somebody, and to come to find out, when Jesse was brought to the hospital, he ended up having a heart attack at the hospital.
Oh God! Thank God he was at the hospital.
Majority of his arteries were 80% clogged.
Oh my God.
So I'm very happy we made that call.
Good for you. How's that feel? You saved a life there.
Definitely. My medical first provider instructor was very, very happy when I told him. So, but Jesse came out with us a couple months later, and I was super excited to see him. I wasn't working that trip because I was going home, but he was like super happy to see me. I gave him a big hug, and I was very happy for him to come back out. Enjoy fishing with us again. So.
That's awesome, Robyn. You know, and it also makes clear the point that while you need to find fish as a captain and a crew member, there's a lot more to this job. When there's an emergency, when there's a medical problem, you got to be Johnny on the spot. You've got to act quickly, right? And that's the responsibility you're talking about. That's a lot of responsibility.
And that was just me working galley that day.
Right.
But I signed up for it, and I honestly wouldn't trade it for the world. I love fishing so much that I made it my career.
Yeah. And do you intend to stay in it for the rest of your life?
I hope so. I would love to.
You want to be a boat owner someday? Would you like to do that?
With everything going on with carb and everything with the emissions,
right?
I thought about it. I thought about it for long and hard, but I want to learn everything what I need to know before I pursue that endeavor.
So carb, just so everybody knows, the state of California is asking sport boats and even whale watch boats, these kind of boats, to put in engines that are better for the environment but don't even exist. And in fact, those engines are so heavy that most of these boats can't even do that. Yep. So what it would effectively do is end sport fishing in Southern California. Are you worried about that?
I am. Yes, because I gave up my day job to do sport fishing for the rest of my life, but I'm hoping there will be some miracle that it won't happen and sport fishing will go on, because I would love to see my daughter and my granddaughter hopefully one day, or my grandkids fish, you know what I mean? So
right, and you're making the point crystal clear. I might even have you say something to Governor Newsom here in a second, and if you don't but this kind of thing would block access to people, rich people that are affluent. They've got boats. They're going to be on the water. But people that don't have a lot of money, their access to the sea, their access to fishing, their access to seeing all these beautiful things is jumping on a sport boat. Yep. And if that goes away, then this is going to hurt them, right?
Definitely.
Do you want to say anything to Governor Newsom? Do you want to just tell him how important without, do you want to tell him how important?
It's the livelihood of all the family-owned businesses, because majority of the sport fishing industry is all family-owned business. They're putting out commercial fishing, and you're gonna put a lot of people out of business, especially with our recreational fishing and everything. What's it gonna leave for the future for us?
I couldn't agree more. And not only that, I think that going out on the water as a kid, I mean, so many kids are staring at phones nowadays.
Yes, definitely.
So getting out on the water and experiencing that is super important, right? And that'll put an end to that.
Yep.
And this is no joke, because I won't say who, but I know some landing owners who have gone to Florida, who've gone to Texas, and started looking at it, because as one of them told me, one thing about boats is they can move.
Yep.
So I could go somewhere else. So some of these guys are taking this super seriously.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I've seen so many ownership changes in the boats this year, and so many new boats coming in, coming out of the landing. So I don't know where sport fishing will go if this goes through, especially with being someone who works on a boat.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot of families.
Right.
It definitely is.
Right. And I don't see the boats as that big of a factor in the pollution. I think, you know, the ethos of most guys running boats now is they don't let people throw line in the water, and the emissions. I think there's 165 boats or something like that. It just doesn't have that big of an impact the way it is right now. And if they want to grandfather this in, and new sport boats have to have that kind of technology and these 4-tier engines,
it's going to be too expensive by that.
Right. It's going to put everybody out of business. Yep. Hopefully, Robyn, that doesn't happen.
I'm praying.
I know. I'm still trying to get a politician that I know to jump on board. So I'm going to talk to her a little bit more. She's actually lives right next door to me, so I need to talk to her a little bit more. I don't want to use her name because I think it's unfair for me to do that. But hopefully we'll be able to do something. What is your favorite kind of fishing? What do you like to catch more than anything?
Ooh, yellowtail.
Really?
Yellowtail.
And what's your favorite way to take yellows? Bait, iron? Yeah, any way you can do it.
Both. I find yellowtail probably my favorite fish to fish. But probably more than bluefin, even though they're all fun. It's just a lot more, depending on where you're fishing. I think it's a lot more. I want to say you need more experience, especially with yellowtail, because
you got structure.
Or it's so much easier when you're offshore.
Yeah, because there's no rocks.
Yeah.
You're in that deep water. But when you're fishing yellows, typically you can get run into rocks, kelp, all kinds of stuff.
Fishing the 9 or the Farnsworth, or I got to experience working a Guadalupe trip on the Apollo last year, and those yellows are nasty. Mean.
Yeah, they are.
They are mean. I tried.
At the loop you're talking about?
At the loop, yeah. I tried for a little bit, and I I was just like, I looked at some of these yellows coming on this side, and I'm just like, whoo, they're big as me. They're as big as me.
Like 40, 50-pound fish?
Oh,
bigger.
50 plus fish.
Wow.
Yeah. Like they were bigger than the yellowfin that we saw. So.
You know, that's one thing about Lupe, man. You may not catch the most fish you've ever caught, but the biggest fish. That place is loaded with quality fish.
Oh, it's some of I made a couple casts out, and some of these calicos that I saw in there are like, I'm like, where have you been? Like, I would love to fish you local, but like they're like beautiful, golden brown, and their teeth are just like, this is like a hybrid. Like they're so sharp. And it's like the fishing in Guadalupe was very it's such an awesome experience for me to work.
Yeah.
It's such a different type of fishing too, even though it's all basic, like pretty much all the same fishing island. I think the coolest part about Olymp was I got to see this 18-foot great white.
Oh, did the white shark show up?
There was a couple, and I would be standing in the stern helping a guy out fight his fish, and you just see this big gray blob underneath the boat, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a big shark. And
oh my god.
Alex that day was like, oh, that's a little one. That's a baby, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to fall.
Oh my god, no kidding. Did they get a lot of your fish?
No, not for that
Really?
trip. There was one yellowfin that I was helping a guy out up in the bow, and he came up. I stuck it, and it turned over on its side. I looked over, and I'm like, oh my god, there's two flecks on the side.
Oh god.
And I'm like, oh my god. Me and Hal was like, run. I ran it down the side because their bow is really high off the water. I ran it down the side, and I'm like, Alex, help me! And we threw it on really quick. And sure enough, great white was sitting underneath the boat.
Oh god.
Yeah.
How many people get to see that? How many do you recognize how fortunate you are? Right? I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very grateful for Alex to give me that experience, especially for him going to Costa Rica. I was hoping to go down to Costa Rica with him this year, but they're fully crewed up.
Yeah.
That's super awesome to fish Costa Rica.
Oh my god, Costa Rica's a great place
I haven't
to
fished
fish.
Guadalupe in forever, so going back and seeing how everything's not changed, but experiencing it as someone who's working on the boat, it's totally different than being a passenger.
Right.
So, but it was definitely fun.
Yeah. So, were you catching most of your yellows at the loop on the yo-yo iron, or what?
Dropper loop.
Oh, really?
Dropper loop, and there was a couple on the yo-yo. A lot of our yellowfin were on fly line, and we hooked a couple on the kite. I actually hooked the yellowfin that trip.
Did you?
Yeah, we made pokey out of it next
Oh,
day.
how
Yeah.
good. How delicious is that,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
And how big was your yellowfin?
About 30 pounds.
Uh-huh. How many days do you guys spend at the loop on that trip?
It's a lot of travel days. A lot of travel days because we have to go do customs in Ensenada and then make the long run out to the loop. But it's only a couple days, depending. The weather was up that day too, so.
And Alex is in Costa Rica, or he's come. Is he back now?
He is. They're in Costa Rica right now.
Is he on a private yacht, or what's he doing?
The Apollo.
Oh, the Apollo's running out of Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Come on, that's gotta be. Do you know what port? Probably Punta Arenas, or.
I have no idea.
Or no, he might. Yeah, that's a great country. Yeah. I spent a year there. I don't know if you know that.
Jody and Alex are running the boat out of Costa Rica right now, and they'll be coming back hopefully April, and then be back in San Diego for the summer season. But
have you seen any reports from them? Are they catching lots of fish? Are they doing well down there?
They're doing fairly well. I've seen a couple of pictures of Dorado and on a big grouper and everything. So.
God almighty, that must be so cool. I didn't even realize that. That's awesome. Alex does send me a note from time to time, and it sounds like they're just having that country. Have you been there?
I've never been.
Do you spend much time in Mexico? Have you been down there?
Not fishing.
Fooling around on Revolution Boulevard and TJ?
No, not really. Mostly for the food and the beer and the drinks.
Oh my God, the food is out of
to
control.
Relax and everything. So.
You've never fished down there?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, where?
On the beaches, Rosarito.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of my friends have houses down there, so we'll go down there, spend a couple days in the houses, and go fishing, go surfing, or at least try go surfing.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time down there. But Costa Rica, I spent a year when I was 19 down there, and I was living in Golfito, and I didn't fish one day of that whole year.
Why?
I was too busy. I was working with a priest, so he was, had told me to teach these kids and do. Actually, I'll give you the real story. This priest wanted to. There was a house of prostitution right down the street.
Okay.
He wanted to switch those girls from that profession into doing a sewing co-op. And so he got all these sewing machines and they started selling their clothing all over the place, and they got out of that business. But my job was to teach their kids English. So I would teach their kids. And I had hair down to here. I would walk by that house, the prostitution place, and all the girls would come out and go, "Hey, Felipe." And I know everybody was thinking, "Oh man, this guy must be," I was teaching their kids English. But it was such a great experience. So when you say Costa Rica, my wife is from Costa Rica. I would love to go down there on the Apollo and try that, man, because fishing is good. I would talk to guys, and I would just I didn't have time to do it. I wish I would have. But since I've gone back and fished Panama, and I fished Costa Rica, and those are great places.
Oh yeah,
no question. So you like catching yellows? Let me ask you the age-old question: when you fish iron, is color important? Do you think color is important or not important? We've had a whole controversy going about that.
Depends. I want to say it's more of how the jigs.
I'm going to agree with you there. And so is everybody else that I've talked to. Longtime guys say, Leroy over in Hawaii, who I worked with on the Searcher back in the late 70s, he said, if color matters, how come I always get hooked up on this jig that's got all the paint chipped off it?
Exactly.
Right?
I have so many jigs at home that I just sit there and I'm like, oh, I'll take this one on the boat. It has no paint on it, and I'll still cast it. I'll still catch something on it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Do you like calico bass fishing?
I love calico bass fishing.
Is that one of your favorites behind yellowtail fishing?
Yes.
And so, what's a tip for somebody that wants to fish calicos? Light line? Do you like fishing iron? Do you like fishing swim baits?
But I love fly lining and jig fishing.
Yeah.
When I can. And with all the upgrades in fishing, fluorocarbon is a must.
It totally is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a sponsor, Opsin Fluorocarbon.
I love Opsin.
Oh, you fish Opsin?
I do.
Hey, that's great. Greg Brown will be happy to hear that. So it gives you an advantage not only in calico bass fishing, but I'm asking the question. In bluefin and everything else?
Too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you, I mean, you don't even think about not using fluoro, right?
No, every one of my rods that were on the boat last year were all with fluorocarbon. And fluorocarbon, small hook, light line.
Yeah, that'll do it for calicos, right?
Yeah.
And choosing a hot bait, is that an important thing?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, get that bait into the kelp line, get it swimming, get it away from the boat. So.
What's the biggest mistake you see anglers make fishing for bluefin out of San Diego? What when you look, you're up there, if you're on the bait tank chumming or whatever, and you look down and you just say, that guy's not going to catch a fish.
Starting on the wrong side of the boat.
Okay.
Especially for drifting.
Uh-huh. So let's talk about that for a moment. What's the right side of the boat?
Wind in your face.
Wind in your face.
You're in the right place, or at least starting in your downwind corner and then walking around to where the wind's coming from.
Yeah, so the wind in your face, your bait's going to go out, as opposed to being on the other side, your bait's going under the boat.
Yep.
Right? And so if you're not proficient at casting, you definitely want to be with the wind in your face.
Yes.
Some guys can go over to that off wind and make a long cast and get bit. But those guys are the guys.
Yeah.
You guys know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this coming season? Are we gonna have another good one?
I'm hoping so. Bluefin bit all the way through December, so I'm hoping to have at least a little longer season instead of ending it right there in the end of November. So.
They're still biting out there, aren't they? I see
Yes,
some of
they
these.
have.
I know, it's ridiculous,
yeah,
isn't
I know.
it?
I know.
And the water's like 60 degrees now out there, and they're still biting.
It's all not much mass or quantity yet,
Right.
but I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping it'll replenish itself. So.
I'm hoping too. I mean, it's been so incredible. When do you get going? When do you anticipate starting your full-time gig on the
I
Legend
will
again?
probably be back in San Diego, May to June. Hopefully, I'll start back down there when they need me. So.
And so, people that want to go fishing with you, you're going to be on the Legend, pretty much.
I will be wherever the Tough family needs me. So.
Oh, okay. But a lot on the Legend.
My home boat's the Legend. Yes.
Okay, very good. And any products? You mentioned Fishing Syndicate. Anybody else you want to plug?
Fishing Syndicate. Great rods. They're coming out with so much new product and. clothing line's awesome. I've known Oliver pretty much my entire life. He's known me since I was a little girl in no like duck boots and pink sweatshirts.
This is before he started Fishing Syndicate. He knew you. What was he? Just an avid fisherman?
He was just an avid fisherman. He would come out fishing with my dad, and I got to know him. He would always come out. He started chartering the boat out when we bought the boat and doing overnights with us. And he's always been a long-time family friend of ours. So when he created Fishing Syndicate, I reached out to him and I'm like, I would love to be a part of this. And ever since then, it's just been up.
And of course, you know Rick Fuentes real well, right? He's a super good guy.
I love Rick. I've done so many trips with him.
You have?
We did a trip out of Oxnard on the Hustler, and then he's just a great friend to be an all around guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's so nice.
You can always depend on Rick to be right. I mean, and he's a heck of a fisherman too.
Yep. He calls me his littlest captain.
Pretty appropriate. All right, so I can't believe we've been chatting for an hour almost here. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happens when old friends get together. As you look ahead, it sounds like you want to stay in this business. Hopefully this carb thing doesn't get in the way. We keep our fingers crossed. What is that? Do you know what the website is? I'll put it up here in text. I think it's Save Fishing.
I forgot what it was.
I'm going to put it up here since I blew it in text. So you should visit that, leave a comment, show your support. And everybody out there needs to realize how really important this is, right? I mean, this could be the end of sport fishing in California.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure the state's going to give all the boat owners time to try to make the changes.
Yeah.
But a lot of the changes are going to be expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll put people out of business.
Yes.
Robyn, you have overcome so many obstacles in your life. You're a captain now. You are an example for people that are going through some rough times of how you can come out of it. And you're a positive role model for girls and for me too. And I just want to say thank you for spending time. It's awesome.
Pleasure.
I have to come out on the legend with you this summer, right?
I have to. I'll be there.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Robyn Yoshihiro. It's so nice to spend time with her, and we deeply appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you again really soon on Freedman Adventures. Take care, everybody.